We continue when we conclude with letter 18, rather. Yesterday we spoke about a very lofty level of love, ava b'tai nugim, delighting in God, delighting in the divine as an end in itself rather than a means to an end. And that's a gift. Just think, how many people do you delight in that for no reason? Probably limited. You might have moments of it, that you delight for no reason. Just because. All right, we go now into a second category of love and desire, in which the soul desires and wants to cleave. Delighting means that you are experiencing it. You are connected. You're delighting in it. So you're not yearning to cleave. You are cleaving. That's why most songs, love songs, are about the yearning to cleave. Not that you are cleaving. Right? That's why very few of us reach that. At least in a consistent manner. Not in human ways and not in divine ways. But the second category is something that, yes, the love and the desire that the soul has, it wishes to cleave, it wants to yearn, it yearns to cleave to God. That's what the soul wants. By the way, when we speak about, yearning and cleaving to God, then therefore that's where the yearning and cleaving comes also in a human dimension as a result. But, that can be in our discussion later. And it wants to cleave to God because, after all, God is, the source of all life. So it wants to be bound up on the bond of life. And therefore the proximity to God is very dear to her, the neshama, the soul. And to be distant is most grievous to the soul. Right? It doesn't want that. It doesn't want to have a partition between the soul and the attachment to God. That would be as a result of unholiness, of klipa. So what we have here is there's an inherent love that the soul has for God and an anxiousness that it has as a result of that, of not wanting to be separated from that connection, which is fear. Now this latent love, we learned about this in chapters 18 and 19 of the first part of Tanya. So it's in the heart of every neshama, Yiddish neshama. And that's why even someone who's wicked has it. That's why even the wicked are full of remorse because of the inherent love that's in the soul. So if they have this inherent love for God, then why would they be called wicked? Well, the answer is because that inherent love is in exile. It is entrapped by the body, and the body is dominating it and not allowing it to express itself. And therefore allowing the spirit of folly to enter, and we lose our sensitivity to that connection, and we do something sinful that jeopardizes our connection, separates us from God. So therefore, a person's service consists in strengthening yourself to prevent the klipa to become manifest. So the first thing is by expelling it, the negativity in your thoughts, pushing it away. Of course, in speech, not to say it. And in action, right? In all of our being, whatever negativity that wants to take hold, we push it away, right? So when we vanquish that negativity in us, what does that allow us to do? To uncover the love that is inherently there in the soul. That's what it allows us to do. And then that love can permeate our thought, speech, and action. Then we can feel truly a connection to God. And this will strengthen us and make us very strong and courageous individuals as a result, because that hidden love will be now abundantly revealed. But where is it abundantly revealed is really in our consciousness, in our awareness, in our mind, that we think this way, right? That this, that we contemplate. What do we contemplate? That God is the fountainhead of life, that he's the source of all life, and in particular for my soul. So in other words, this is an inherent part of my soul, but that soul is now captivated by the body. So I gotta remove the body's agenda of being of klipa, of negativity, and allow the soul to emerge. How do I do that? Is by actually, understanding with your mind and connecting that thought process with God. And how he is the source of all life and of your life. But this will then create a yearning and a desire that what you want to do is attach yourself to him. Like a child who yearns constantly to attach to the parent. Out of their very nature, that's their nature, that's what they are, naturally bonded and connected to their parent. So they do it instinctually. We need to think about it. We need to meditate upon it. We need to ponder the thought, right? Of, that God is the source of life and I want to be connected to life. And therefore I'm yearning for it. Now, that yearning, right, which is a love. Yearning means you want to connect. That's love. You want to connect. How are you going to express that yearning? You're going to occupy yourself like you're doing right now, folks. Learning Torah, fulfilling the commandments. And therefore, you really cleave to God through that. Why? Because Torah and his commandments are one with God. So you're literally cleaving to God. The point over here is that we need to be mindful of that. And that's what we want, rather than, we could be doing it on autopilot. And this is what it means by soul thirst for God. We have a thirst to connect to God. Why? Because it's inherent within my soul. I have the thirst, but I don't have the pleasure. Right? I have the yearning to bond. So I express that through Torah mitzvahs. Meaning, the higher level Ava B'Tai Nugim that we spoke about yesterday, that it's not a yearning. You are connected. You are delighting in the connection. Here it's a yearning that the soul has. But remember, it's not so, it's not that yearning. We're not, we don't live primarily by the soul. We live primarily by the body agenda. And that's what we have to allow, not the body to control the soul, to captivate it, not allow it to have its expression. So that's why we have to not, that the negativity, the klipa of the bodies and its desires, its agenda, we have to discard to allow now the soul to actually sense a yearning that you want to connect to God. And then that connection will be, of course, through Torah and mitzvahs. So that's all an awareness, a mindfulness that we have. And it's a yearning to connect, because the inherent connection is there, but it's not being revealed. And it's only being revealed in my mind because I'm thinking it. Not necessarily because I'm feeling it fully and, am delighting it. No, it's creating a yearning, a desire to connect. And therefore I'm doing the mitzvah. I'm not experiencing the connection right now. Oh, Ava b'tainugim. I am delighting, in God through the teachings. No, I'm connecting to God through the teachings. What led me here is a yearning that I want to connect. That's the lower level, which is an amazing thing. Right? That we can all seek to cleave to God. We're not experiencing the delight. I'm not experiencing now the delight. I may delight in the message. That's not what we're talking about. That's not delighting in God. It's like, you delight in a message that you get from a person. Oh, I really like what you just said. That was amazing. That's not delighting in the person. That's delighting in their message. That tantalized you, not them. When do you get tantalized by the person for themselves? Rarely. If we're honest. Rarely. It's something from them that I get, that I appreciate. So here, therefore, it's creating a yearning that we want to connect, and we therefore are thirsty, and that will lead us to connect, but not that we're experiencing that delight in the connection. Experiencing it, we're not. That's the righteous. That's a gift from above. Right? But it's leading to something. It's leading that we're learning Tanya right now. It's leading that you're going to give charity, that you're going to do other acts of loving kindness and put on your tefillin and, light Shabbos candles, eat kosher, and so on and so forth. Now, concerning this yearning and the love that we have that's concealed within our soul, we pray to God to help us, to bring it out of imprisonment, so that we can be filled just with that alone. So that the mundane desire, as it's called, the rival wife, and biblically, a man can marry more than one wife. And there's the concept of the rival wife. Wives could be rivals very easily, right? Of course, today we can't do that. For the last over 1,000 years, we can't marry more than one woman. But biblically, so there's a metaphor for this. There's a deeper mystical understanding. There's the woman who's takes care of the house. She's the mainstay. She's the soul's, right? That's the real soul, the love of God, the mainstay of the home. And then there's a rival wife. What's a rival? One who creates jealousy. Meaning, the one who has those mundane desires in our heart, yearnings for other things that are not the mainstay of the house. So what do you want to do? Make sure that the rival wife and her yearnings, well, in the metaphor, right? The guy's married to two women. The mainstay, Keres, the real soul's yearning and desire. But then there's the rival. She might be the trophy wife. And so what do you need to do? The mainstay of the house, called the Keres, that woman, she needs to master the rival wife, and not the other way around. What's the metaphor? The soul and its true yearning and wanting to cleave and connect to God should master this other rival. Who's the rival? Well, the body. In the metaphor, it's the two wives, right? But in the analog, it's the body and its agenda of its thoughts and speech and action that it wants. So it needs to be controlling it. So just as we can't get rid of the body, right? And it's, well, righteous could. But in the metaphor, the rival wife is there and she's part of the household, but she needs to be under wraps. She needs to be controlled by the woman of the house. The Keresabayis, meaning because you can't get rid of those desires that you have for the mundane, for not godly things. They're part of us, but they need to be under wraps. They need to be controlled. They need to be ruled over by the woman of the house. What does that mean? What's the analog? So we all need to eat, drink. We all need to, deal with the essentials in life, but it should be mastered by the soul, and not that that we are out of control. Right? The soul needs to control. What does that mean? That through eating and drinking and all mundane activity, that we can know God. We can have a connection to God and know Him through it. Right? We can have a connection to Him as a result. And with that, we conclude the 18th letter. Powerful. So this love that we're talking about over here, and all love that we are familiar with today, is about a yearning to connect, and what it should lead you to is to do something in thought, speech, and action towards God. A mitzvah. Right now, before you came to this class, if you were aware, you had a yearning to connect to Hashem. So you didn't just sit and just feel and try to experience it, but that yearning is to lead you to do something. To study Torah as you're doing right now. Perhaps later to give charity. To pray to God. To do other mitzvahs. Likewise in the human relationships, love is not about a feeling and experience. That is only a gift from above after you've labored on all fronts in your life. But what is it? It is about leading you, that yearning to cleave, to bond, that leads you to do something for your beloved. An action for them, for their sake, for their benefit. Just as we do it for God, for His benefit of doing His mitzvah. So we do something for our beloved. That's kind of love. That's what love is meant to be right now. Galise, questions, ask them now. Just out of curiosity, why was a multiple wives banned 1,000 years ago? Has been, people couldn't really get past the animal, soul's desires type of thing. Excellent question. So excuse me one moment. Come in. Yep, left side. So the basic idea is, back in the day, just to take care of needs, physical needs of a person, and to create a home, that you raise a family, you could be able to give attention to more than one wife. So they had the spiritual stamina for that. We don't. That's on one side of the coin. On the other side of the coin, we've actually are maturing in our relationships. And therefore, we want to devote it all to but one. So it's both things. That's in brief. Good question. Anybody else with a question? Please ask it now. Oh, yeah, so Tanya's not on Instagram today. I'm sorry, I'm having a problem with my computer. Thank you, Irma. Thank you to Tanya. And Rena. Mitch. Thank you. Yes, Chabad, we're always there for you and for everyone. Absolutely. Okay. Anybody here? Vicky, Kayla May, David, Marcy, Eliana, Celeste, Vilma. Somebody wants to share something. Okay.
Well, I have something.
Go ahead, Vilma.
So I've been thinking about this because it's not only love that yearns to connect, but when we suffer or when we feel another's pain, like that also moves me to want to connect in a deeper way, either to God or other people or both.
Right.
So this yearning to connect is a loving yearning. And you're right, it should lead us to act in holy ways. And what we're really doing is fulfilling the wills and desire of God or just of other people.
No, we should never be fulfilling the will of another person.
Well,
maybe the needs of another person. The needs of another person.
Because the other person is different from God. Our relationship with God is unique. It's not going to be the same.
Well, there is parallels, and with our relationship with God, therefore, we can have a wholesome, good relationship with others in a parallel fashion. So, so therefore, when we feel a desire to connect to another, we need to know that that is an expression of a connection to God too. It's not separate from it. It's an outgrowth from our connection to God. Is also a desire that we want to connect to others. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Marcy, I would say that the previous generations also had problems managing multiple wives, which is why all the stories we have talked about rival wives and the strife, not their harmonious interactions. Yeah, exactly. It's a... as every man will say, it's to be married to one woman is a life's challenge, right? And a woman will say that likewise for marrying to one man. So imagine having that responsibility. So to more than one. So here's a further understanding. Back in the day, the relationship was very pragmatic. Pragmatic needs that would be met for each other. And relationships developed, and now they're deeper. Sometimes not so, but they're deeper. The emotional needs of individuals were not so much met back in the day because mere survival was, the order of the day. How many people, had time to sit and watch Netflix during the day, to be on their smartphone, being not so smart, and going with their thumb a whole, for an hour, just whatever. You understand what I mean? So we got a lot more time, and therefore creates a lot more needs that may not be so worthy, but on the flip side there is. Anyways, much more on that another time. Mitch has a question, okay. I have a question. How do I find meaning and purpose in life? Well, I think if you come here, Mitch, I hope we can help you with it. If you come to learn with it, I don't know if it's the first time you're here with us or not. You can direct message me, Mitch. We'll talk further, okay? But I hope you join us here. Darren, not having a wife is a big problem in Judaism. Will God allow me to be... So, very good question, Darren. Yes, being married is definitely and raising a family is definitely an essential, part of Judaism. But that being said, Adam was created alone, and as the Talmud tells us, why was he created alone as opposed to everything else in creation was created in multitudes? It's to tell you that it's enough for the world to be created for one person. And one person should say, the world was created for me, that I can change the world for good as one person, not as a married person, just as a person. So that's something very important to bear in mind, that yes, the married state is something that God wants, but that doesn't mean you cannot have a relationship with God and be connected to God and do good and change the world for good as an unmarried person. Absolutely you can. Okay, Louise, why do good people suffer in this world? Ooh, we're not going to deal with that right now. Because that's a whole topic unto its own. But ultimately, it's all for good. But more on that. We'll talk another time. Because now we got to go to Rambam. Okay? I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you, the Tanya. Have an amazing, wonderful day. Thank you for joining.